Hi everyone, this lesson will go over some of the parallelogram facts, which we will focus on the area and perimeter of a parallelogram, including the parallelogram family. So a fact that you need to know is that the opposite sides of a parallelogram are parallel and congruent, which this word basically means that they are always the same distance from each other. And congruent basically means equal. The symbol that we use for congruent is an equal sign with a curly line on top. Now, every parallelogram can be divided into two congruent triangles by drawing a diagonal line through the parallelogram. Once again, congruent basically means that they're equal. Now let's take a look at these two figures below. Notice how the dotted line is the diagonal line. For each one of them, the shape is divided into two triangles, triangle 1 and triangle 2, triangle 1 and triangle 2, and they are both identical, which means the area of a parallelogram can basically be area of a triangle times 2. Now let's take a look at the picture below right here. This is a parallelogram, which is basically a slanted rectangle. So besides finding the area of a triangle times 2, the area of a parallelogram can also be defined as base times height. Now let's quickly take a look at how you can find the same formula from the above right here. Notice how the area of a triangle is base times height divided by 2. Bring in this 2 down, you times 2. This portion will negate each other because dividing by 2 and then timesing by 2 basically means nothing has happened, which means the area of a triangle times 2 is just basically base times height. Now, like a triangle, the base and height of a parallelogram needs to be perpendicular to each other, meaning that they need to create a 90-degree angle when they meet. Now, to find the perimeter of a parallelogram, we can basically add all the sides together. The last thing that we need to go over is that as long as the parallelograms have the same base and height, they belong to the same family. So let's create a parallelogram that belongs to the same family as the one above, which has a base of 3 and a height, which is right here, of 3 as well. So how do you do that? Let's pick a spot that you like, which I'll start right here. 3 spaces over will bring us right here as our base, and the height will be 3 up. So let's start from the front. 1, 2, 3. Learning from the triangle family in the previous video, this is where the height will have to end, and we can pick anywhere we want to be the spot to begin. So let's say that I want to begin our height right here. We will have to create a top that's the same size as the bottom because they are congruent, and all we need is to connect the dots together to make a parallelogram. So this shape that's slanted all the way across the page will belong to the same family as the one above. Now, if they belong to the same family, like the triangle family, they should have the same area as well, because area is base times height, and both has a base of 3 and a height of 3. Both of them will have 9 square unit as their area. In this slide, we will find the area and perimeter of a parallelogram using formulas. So as a reminder, the area of a parallelogram, which I'm drawing the little parallelogram right here, is base times height. So the first thing we need to do is to identify the base and height in the shape, which will be 9 and 12 in this case because they make a 90-degree angle. So 12.5 will be the base and 9.5 will be the height. Now all we need is to substitute a number into the variable, which b is the base, is 12.5 times 9.5 as the height. And if you put this into the calculator, you will get 118.75 square inches as your answer because you're finding the area of the shape. To find the perimeter of a parallelogram, all you need is to add all the sides together, which if the left side is 13 inches, The right side will also be the same thing because they are congruent. If the bottom is 12.5, the top will be 12.5 as well. So now all you need is do 13 plus 13 plus 12.5 plus 12.5, which should give you 51 inch as your final answer. Now notice how 13 and 12.5 are repeating each other. You can also do something that's similar to the rectangular formula, which is base plus a side times 2. So it is 13 plus 12.5 times 2, which the parentheses gives you 25.5 times 2 will still give you 51 inch as your final answer. Once again, base plus a side times 2 is very similar to the rectangular formula, which is base plus length plus width times 2. That's it for the lesson.